Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I am live. I appreciate I'm a little earlier. I think I said 7:30. It's 7 o'clock. So I apologize for that. But hopefully some of you will find me. And if you're not on the live, welcome to the replay. So welcome to our weekly Akashic Prosperity Room in our group. And this week I really had a lot on my mind that I wanted to talk about, and I'd love your input on this, whether you're watching on replay or live. This week, there's lots of themes have come up, lots of things have been coming through, but the big theme that seems to be coming through that's settled now, I thought, what? There's so many things, but this is the one really, when spiritual growth, transformational work starts feeling overwhelming. And I really wanted to address that because there's a lot of overwhelm right now, isn't there, really, generally? And yeah, it just seems like a really important thing to talk about and bring some things up. And I'd love your comments. And I'm just going to check. My screen doesn't show terribly well who's... Oh, Vale's here. Good morning, Vale. Thank you. Yes, it's lovely to see you. Please say hi, where you're coming from. I love to see where everybody's from. Even if you're on the replay, please don't feel that time's an issue here. I always try and respond, if not in the live or after the live. Yeah, Vale as well. I think last week I said we were going to be moving to 5, but I think this is a good time. 7's a good time for everybody. I just have to feed my son a little bit earlier. So I'll just give people a few moments to come on because I'm on a very strange thing here with yes, I can see you now. Hello, Vale. Good morning. So, as I said, welcome to the Akashic Prosperity Room. Please tell me where you're coming from. I really love to. I know sometimes people just like to sit and listen, and that's wonderful, but it'd be so nice to know all different parts of the world that everybody's from. So, as I said, I wanted to talk tonight about something I've been noticing, more and more, and I try and each week talk about a theme that builds on the week before. So if you haven't had a chance to watch the previous weeks, have a little listen in, especially if something's resonating with you that you read. So there are things that I've really noticed in my own journey as well. I always talk about my own journey, 30 years as a healer and a mentor and a guide and other labels, whatever label, we're all labels in the end, but these have been my journey as well. And I think I've traveled the complete arc of the spiritual world. And so there's a lot that I want to talk about with that, especially on these weekly lives. I don't tend to plan them, but this particular one, the word spiritual exhaustion is coming to mind. And I do think many people are feeling quite exhausted generally when we look outside what's happening. And then we often then look for, there's a lot of upheaval in the world. When has there never not been upheaval in this world? It's just now, it's literally on our phone. We literally have it 24/7. In the past, I think we had the radio, we didn't even have a TV if we had a radio. And so now it's just there. And so a lot of people are feeling that. And so the spiritual world as well is full of reasons why things are happening. What's the deeper reason? Are we moving into 4D? Are we in 5D? What's going on? Is the cabal falling? There's all kinds of stuff out there. And I'm not here to judge that. I'm not here to say what I think about anything or what I feel about anything, because that's not my role. That's each person has to tune into their own heart and intuition. My role really is to look at it and just feel the absolute exhaustion with it all. And I think many people are feeling that complete exhaustion with it all. And when we're very exhausted, we then tend to look at, there's a reason for that. It's the Schumann resonance is spiking. The collective consciousness is turbulent. There's all kinds of stuff. It's the stars, the planetary alignments, and yes, we're interconnected. We're all interconnected, and so I'm not here to say those things aren't happening, but just to sometimes look at what's happening within ourselves and then what's happening without, and how we explain that, but how that very process. Apologies if you can hear my cat in the background. She's going to join in tonight, I think, with lots of yelling and general meowing, but she's 24, and so she's entitled to be very, very loud and in your face at this age. But yeah, so that's, I think, what's happening, and then why we then do go down these certain paths that help us make real sense of that. And so everyone will have their own theories and views, and whether Jim Carrey's a clone, I don't know. I don't know. It certainly doesn't look like him, but but I still come back to the same thought within myself, like, how do I build a stable, peaceful life? I think last week I said, I don't want to go off on a tangent too long, because I have got various things I want to talk about tonight and ask you, and please feel free to ask questions. Yeah, there's no silly questions. If you want to ask me a question, drop it in the comments. I'll happily try and answer. And I think that people, it's not that I'm not interested whether Jim Carrey's a clone or whether he's been put there by the powers that be to bring us all down or whatever, who knows. It's just that my life, I still want a stable, peaceful life. I said last week, actually came out of my mouth. I couldn't believe it. Said, I want a normal life. Don't we? It's not what we all want. Is it so bad to say I want a normal life? I don't even want my next level anymore. I don't want my quantum self. I don't want a timeline jump. I don't want to be living, as some sort of galactic being in a human body. I want to live a normal life. And so I invite you, if you're brave, please be brave. Don't feel that, a normal life for you might be all kinds of wonderful things. For me, I tell you what my normal life is. No debt, looking after my son, having a peaceful, stable life. Yeah, having money to go on holiday, doing the things I love, stable, peaceful, normal. It doesn't have to be like loads of stuff. Don't have to meet the love of my life. Don't have to have the perfect house and the perfect job and the perfect this and the perfect that. To have that peace and stability within myself, as within, so without. That's my normal life. And I know perhaps I should be saying, we want to be in our next level and we want to be on our 7 figures off. And if that's your normal life, absolutely. At one time that was my normal life, and I did want to have that as my life. But I really feel that the crazier things are getting, I mean, they're getting crazy, aren't they? The crazier it's getting, that something within us, many of us, is calling us back to stability, to peace, and to a normal life. And so that's what I want to talk about tonight. And it's something I've spoken to other people about, many of the women I work with, the journeys they've been on, and they're not, some of them are confused, but not so many anymore. Many people have their own ideas of what's happening, or they're not confused. They've not that they've not grown enough. They've done a lot of work. They're just exhausted, and it's a particular kind of exhaustion. So it's the kind that comes from trying to keep up with everything the spiritual world says we should be doing. And I'm not here to knock anything or anyone tonight, because sometimes I can just say it like I see it, but actually I think, having been through all that and having been through many things, and yes, I've been down the rabbit hole. I have been down many rabbit holes in my life. And sometimes people think, if you don't buy into the weirdest stuff that's being said that's happening in the world, if you're not buying into that therefore, you've got to clear your pineal gland, or you've got to clear your energy field because you're blocked, or you're not really on the 5D path or whatever. I have been through all that. I can say I have cleared my energy field. It's squeaky clean. But I still come back to, I do not know ultimately whether Jim Carrey's a clone. And I do not care, because I still come back to living a life that is peaceful, is stable, and doesn't require me to be working on myself all the time. And that life isn't a selfish life, actually, because it's the greatest gift we can actually give to the beings of this world, in my view, is to really live and embody that life, and be a field of energy that moves through the world, that uplifts. I don't know if anybody, I think many of you have seen they finished now, the monks, the peace monks. And wow, wasn't that an incredible, like, wasn't that an incredible thing? Like, it's so moving. Just these humble monks walking across America for peace with their dog, who had like a heart on his boy, wasn't it? Yeah, Ashoka, on his head. But like touching people's hearts with kindness, with compassion. It was just the most incredible thing I think I've ever seen. So watch it and just mesmerized by it, the kindness and just how people need that in their lives. And cry, I would just cry because it was just so moving. I think so many people, you didn't have to be Buddhist, you didn't have to be, to appreciate that. It was just the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And so where am I going? I'm going off a tangent anyway. Let's just go back. But that I'm coming from that kind of exhaustion that many of us are feeling, or maybe feeling, that it's coming from a spiritual world. And this is not to knock that spiritual world, because I have been there and I know that it's coming from a genuine place, but it's still coming from a confused place. So that's that place where we need more healing, more activations, more upgrades, more next levels. And after a while it becomes a lot to carry. It really does become a lot to carry, because we constantly feel we're in this loop. I don't know, pop in the comments if you resonate with that. Just yes, I resonate with that, because I think that's a real turning point when we get to that point where we actually feel that. And it's not a failure. It's that we're really starting to see. And so I'm going to have a look at my comments, because I can't see them on the screen. I just want to see if anybody's commenting so I can comment back. Oh, Joe's here. Hello, lovely Joe. Yeah, but if that's you, and you feel, or you have felt that, that spiritual exhaustion with it all, I'm going to sort of talk about the pattern now, on what we can do to interrupt that pattern. It's really quite simple, but we're going to just talk a little bit about it, because it's important to make that pattern visible and make it normal. So it looks a little bit like this, and this isn't a criticism, it's an observation. You hear a teaching and it resonates really deeply with you, or you do an activation, or you do a workshop, or you do a course or a program, and you feel really clear for the time that you're doing it, or even for a few days after. It's often people do when they have portal events. They'll feel like most incredible energy around that particular portal, and then a few days later, they feel hopeful. But then, and there's also, before I get there, there's that feeling of I found it, I found the missing piece. Yeah. And there's that also that feeling of, well, I'm keeping up now, I'm really keeping up. Then something small happens, maybe a slow week, or a bill arrives, or you have a difficult conversation with somebody, or your energy drops, and suddenly everything starts to feel really shaky once again. So what happens at that point often, this is just an observation, I went through it many, many times myself, and I've sort of condensed it down, but it often happens over a period of months. The mind will start searching once again for the reason why things have dropped. So maybe I need some more clearing. Maybe the person I was working with, maybe they need to do a bit of clearing, because maybe I picked up something from them. Yeah, so we immediately give away our power. Or maybe there's another block, but there's this one particular block that I just can't get to, and so we go searching. So you listen to the next teacher, you find the next level person, or the next training, or the next activation. I'm talking about it like, bloody hell, no wonder you're exhausted. This is exhausting. This is a treadmill. And then we feel powerful again, momentarily, or for a few weeks or a few months. But there's something underneath all of that still doesn't feel stable. Now, when we've done this a lot, like, so in my case, when I'd done it for over 20 years and realized, I saw the pattern, it took me that long. It took me that long to realize this is a real pattern going on here. And this is the part that very few people talk about. This is the part that when you've done all the work, the integration part. What does that actually look like? The part in between the course, the workshop, the teaching, the aha moment. And so that's what these weekly lives really are to talk about. And so I do say it with a lot of compassion, because I walked that cycle for like so many years. And there were times, I think, in my own path where I was absorbing so much spiritual information that instead of feeling clearer, I actually felt more overwhelmed. And when you look at it like that, and when you talk about it like that, it's like, no wonder I felt the way that I did. And you begin to wonder if it's just you, because everybody else seems to have it all together. Every other teacher or every person that they've got it all together. Why am I feeling like this? Again, we started to think it's our inner saboteur, or it's some kind of fault within, or it's something attaching to us. It's some kind of outside negative force that's draining our life force. And so we begin again. So the important thing is not these teachings are not wrong. First important thing, none of the teachings were wrong, but there was never any space for things to truly settle. Things didn't have that ability to settle. That's the problem with growth. Constant growth, constant expansion, when it first happens, feels fantastic, because the adrenaline is really high from the first growth. We begin to start to feel that we're remembering ourselves. But constant growth destabilizes you. It isn't integration. It's not the integration phase that we need. It's the integration phase that we are missing. That is the essence of the work I do, actually, is to get to the integration phase underneath all of that, so that these things can actually hold. So I'm going to have a quick look at my comments, because I like to interact, not just talk at you. I have a comment from lovely Vale. Oh, you've got the peaceful life. Let's have a look. So Vale has said, it would be nice actually if I could put this on the screen. I don't know if I can. I don't want to touch anything because I disconnect. So Vale has said, I often equate the peaceful normal life I'm ready for as the video clip of someone standing still in the middle of a crowd with people racing around them so quickly it's a blur. Me standing still in peace and ease and doing whatever work I choose while the conspiracy stuff is swirling or the chaos is twisting around. You love that. I got the image in my mind, Vale, of you just there, just the peaceful force, the field, and there you are. I'm going to put a little heart to that because I actually love that. Yeah, and it's not, and like I said, it's not to criticize, like, because I've been through all the conspiracy theories, so there is truth in some of them, but we're going to talk a little bit more about this in future lives, actually, how they all destabilize you, because what they're doing to your nervous system fundamentally is destabilizing it all the time. Fear-based thinking. I saw a post the other week by someone that everybody in Hollywood, every celebrity except Keanu Reeves, who we bow and prostrate to, is involved with some very dodgy stuff, very unpleasant stuff. So to me, the logic of it, like when you do get the logical mind starts to function again, it's like, well, everybody except Keanu, yeah. It's like, but then we get caught up in that because we're looking for explanations for the destabilization within ourselves that we're also seeing reflected in the outer world. And it doesn't mean that there isn't dodgy stuff going on, but it's like, oh, we think we're here, we're the light worker, we're here to awaken everybody to what's actually going on, when we're in our own lives and we can't even pay our bills, or our own lives are so destabilized, or we're in debt, or we've got chaos in our own lives. We still think that's our function, to wake everybody up, but we don't really know, because we don't know what we're being fed. So what it does to us on a nervous system level is really just take us spiraling down, because we can't ever really gain that inner stability, true stability, that has the power from within to stabilize the entire world. And so I love what you said that, and I love that image, because I think that will become more and more important, if when has it not ever been important to actually have that core inner stability, so that everything else can be going and, you know, hurricane around us, still point. And it isn't withdrawing from the world, actually, it's bringing that into the world. I love that. And so that's why constant growth, and growth is a wonderful thing, but constant growth destabilizes you. So that's why when people continually do process after process after process, program after program after program, one doesn't work, another one, it's destabilizing, because it isn't teaching them how to integrate. In some ways, in order to be able to integrate and stabilize, we need to unlearn so much of what we have been taught within the spiritual world. So much needs to be unhooked, and not so much unhooking from a matrix that's an external thing, unhooking from the spiritual matrix that so many of us have hooked into with such good intentions. And so that stimulation can feel very, very powerful. It's a bit like, I always describe it as a bit like it's like driving a Ferrari. It feels so powerful. Unfortunately, it's driving a Ferrari, and the end point is the cliff edge, and then we fall off. And sometimes that's the way, that is the way that we actually start to begin to see through the whole thing that's going on. And so that stimulation isn't the same thing as a life that actually feels steady. It's wonderful, it's powerful, it's intoxicating. We start to feel who we really are, particularly if we've been quite shut down. And perhaps as women, we felt silenced, both on an ancestral and on a collective level, and we start to feel that power. It's wonderful, but it's not the same thing as holding steady and having that core stability. And the reason people don't talk about that very often is because it doesn't sell, because people want the Ferrari. Yeah, they don't want the steady stability, because they think, oh, well, it's a bit boring. But that is when the growth can actually start to hold in our life. And so what many of us are really craving isn't more breakthroughs, even if we think that they are. It's steadiness. So I'm going to have a little look. The comments. So, Vale. Integration is where I am now, but dang, it's so challenging to stand still long enough to finish percolating. I love that. Stillness is part of the integration, the ability to watch and not get caught up in the adrenaline and high vibe jazz. Yeah, thank you, Val. And it's also, I love that. I love your use of language, actually, because it just says it, doesn't it? It's the percolator and the jazz, because for us to unplug, because we're taught we're in a matrix, we're in a 3D matrix, and our job is to get out of that and get everybody else of it. We don't realize the actual spiritual world is also a matrix, that we've plugged into a different matrix, and at some point we have to even unplug from that matrix. That takes courage, and it can feel at that point, am I the only one that's actually thinking like this? Because it feels a little bit lonely, and we're a little bit scared because we're no longer fitting into the worlds that we were and that we found camaraderie in and kinship in, which is why I created this group, and also this room. This group itself has been through enormous changes over the last 4 years. It literally has been through everything that I have just described, and it's coming to right through to the arc now. This arc now, as if some people will leave because it's not exciting, and that's fine, because they're not at that point, and they don't want to be at that point. But this is where the journey leads to. And so how does this equate to the Akashic layer? because this is the Akashic Prosperity Room. This is the Akashic Prosperity Collective. So for me, this is my own view. When we work in the Akashic field, there are many people working within the Akashic fields as well. It's still easy to believe the goal is still more expansion, more activation, more awareness. But for me, the power of the Akashic field, the deeper work, is integration. That is where we can actually integrate. And it's been given many, many different names over time. We just happen to call it the Akashic field. It's the space in which you can allow your life to become calm enough to actually hold what you've already realized. It's not about chasing the next level revelation, which is why I don't do tuning into what the Akash is saying about whether Jim Carrey is a clown. Forgive me, but when I saw it, I was thinking, oh my God, that isn't him, right? That is not Jim Carrey. But it's just, you look at it, you think, yeah, but do I actually care if it's a clone or it's some deeper conspiracy, because quite frankly, I don't give a stuff. But it's like, I'm not going to tune in now and tune in and see, what's going on in the world right now. Is there a great big portal under Iran? Because I don't see that is even relevant. Because actually how we change the world is how we change it from within. So it's not about chasing the next revelation, which is why I don't use the records in that way. Because if this doesn't matter what you use, whatever modality or tool or whatever, there's some wonderful things out there. If the structure of your life underneath it isn't stable, even the most profound insight or insult, I didn't mean to say that, even the most profound insight will eventually fade back into uncertainty and destabilize you. And so spiritual, I suppose, maturity, if you like, which is why many of us in this group are a certain age, because we're spiritually mature, shall we say. It isn't seeing more hidden forces. It isn't defeating the matrix. It isn't needing the answer to whether Jim Carrey is a clone. It's needing less noise. Just needing less noise and having the courage to need less noise. And it's about being able to actually say, and stay. The words are coming out of my mouth now that I'm not actually intending to say. Well, that there might be a meaning in that, but I'm not going to analyze it. It's just having that courage to say, I don't need another breakthrough right now. I don't need another activation. I don't need another clearing. I don't need another person to tell me whether Jim Carrey is a clone. Forgive me, because I wasn't going to mention him tonight, but I can't help myself. I just need my life to feel steady. So for me, at the beginning, a normal life, just have a normal life. Wow. Part of me is like, the old adrenaline Helen. What? You want a normal life? You don't want your next high vibe level, your next transformation, your seven-figure self? You want a normal life? Yes, I want a normal life. And that is a very different kind of growth. It's much quieter, and ironically, it is way, way more powerful than the noise, than the adrenaline, than the Ferrari that's going careering towards the edge of the cliff. Way more powerful. I'm not going to mention him, don't worry. One of my favourite actors, actually. But he's not on the list, is he, as one of the acceptable ones, so... So I don't know. Let's have a look what Vale... That's okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry if I haven't seen everyone's comments. I'm trying to look at them and Yeah. So that's, yeah, so that's why I have created the Akashic Prosperity Field. Um, it's been coming for a long time, I think, this for me. It's where I am right now in my life, in my business. Slower, quieter, steadier, more stable. So it's not a program. It's not another intense process. It's actually a place where the work becomes steady. So instead of constantly searching for the next thing, you return to the same field and allow things to stabilize. I think that's really the bigger picture of it. And so for that, it's a monthly transmission. They're gentle weekly reminders, nothing dramatic, just a continuity. So if that kind of steadiness feels supportive to you, I'll put the link after the live. And so it's really a place, I think, where I've created, and I expect it to just grow steadily, quietly, organically. No big launches, no big things going on, just space. It's a space to come when you're ready to move out of this room into the field, and a place where growth isn't constant. So there isn't that constant pressure for growth. That is what it's for. So if you'd love to be part of that, we'd love you to be part of it. And I think to close tonight, what I really would like you to do this week, and please, if you're watching on replay or you want to pop any comments in or questions, please do, because I will be checking and I will answer. I apologize if I haven't answered people last week. I thought I had, and I just noticed some comments, so I'll go back. So this week, just notice something really simple. This is really powerful, what I'm about to say. This is like, yeah, it's really powerful because it's so simple. God, when you feel overwhelmed by growth, overwhelmed by what you're reading, overwhelmed by what you're seeing, thinking, I better go and fix something, overwhelmed in your life, in your body, in your relationships, money, whatever it is, overwhelmed by your family, that's always one. Do you reach for more intensity? So do you go and watch something or do something or try something? And this isn't a judgment because we've all been there. It took me a long time to unravel from this. Do you reach for more intensity, or do you allow things to just settle? Because that is the key. And particularly right now, even if you just think what I've just said is a load of old twaddle, right now, that's one of the most powerful things you can do is unplug, let things settle. Don't have to be a light worker and take it all on, here to awaken humanity. You can just allow things to stabilize and settle, because sometimes the most powerful shift, I mean, this is a powerful shift. If you can get this shift, everything can begin to turn around in your life. The most powerful shift is just letting things become quiet enough to actually hold. Just let them become quiet enough to actually hold, and don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid that, my vibration is going to drop, that I'm going to get spiritually attacked by something, or oh my God, I'm going to lose all my money because I'm letting my, just unhook and just allow things to become quiet enough to hold. And this week, if you can, find some way for that to happen. And it can happen in the most simplest of ways, like just taking your dog for a walk if you have a dog. So on that note, I will just check the comments. Make sure I will respond. And I will see you all next week. This is a weekly room. So I've got to change I've had to delete a few because I'd put the wrong details in. Now I put the wrong time in. But basically, if you want to be reminded of the live, please do put yourself as going. Then Facebook will send you a little reminder. Otherwise, I don't remind people because I don't want to be spammy pammy. You're so welcome. Thank you, Vale. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to everybody, and I will see you all next week. And if you have any questions, because we're just warming up in the room. The room is just getting warm. Please always put questions, thoughts, share if you wish. Yeah, I will always come in if I miss you or you miss me, and I will always try and answer them. And I think it's starting to become, I can feel the energy of the room starting to grow and change and shift. So thank you for that, and I will see you all soon.